You know how sometimes you can get so wrapped up in the details of a story that you kind of miss the whole point? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into a truly fascinating story from the Qur'an's Surah Al Kahf, the story of the sleepers in the cave. But we're not just going to talk about their super long nap. We're really going to focus on what happened when they woke up and the surprising lesson it teaches all of us about what truly matters.
Okay, let's just jump right in. The Quran doesn't start this off with a peaceful, serene picture of people sleeping. No, it starts with pure terror. Just imagine for a second, you're out walking, you stumble upon this cave, and the sight inside is so strange, so deeply unsettling, that your first instinct isn't curiosity, it's to run. You would have been filled with an overwhelming urge to flee. This tells you right away, this is no ordinary sleep, it's a divinely protected miracle, one designed to inspire awe and even fear.
So, what was it about this scene that was so incredibly terrifying? Let's break down the details of this divinely protected stillness.
I mean, the description here is just so vivid. You'd look in and you would think they were awake, but they're not. They're in a sleep so deep it's lasted for centuries, and God Himself is turning their bodies from side to side to preserve them. And right at the entrance, their dog is stretched out, like a loyal guard frozen in time. It's this eerie, uncanny scene, caught somewhere between life and death, that would fill any person with a profound sense of dread.
So, after hundreds of years of this protected sleep, God awakens them. And what happens next is just a powerful, powerful look at a very human reaction to a completely impossible situation.
The very first thing they do is ask each other this question. It's not some grand theological statement. It's a simple, down-to-earth question. How long have we been here? They're disoriented, they're confused, trying to make sense of their lost time exactly like any of us would be.
And this right here just brilliantly shows their amazing character. First, you get the human guess, right? Based on their limited perception, they look at the sun and think, okay, maybe a day? Or part of a day. But almost immediately they pivot. They realize the truth is beyond them, and they humbly submit to a higher knowledge. They say, your Lord knows best. It's just a beautiful lesson in intellectual humility.
But here's the thing. They don't just sit there wondering. They get practical, fast. They know they're in a potentially dangerous situation, so they come up with a careful plan.
And just look at how thoughtful this plan is. Okay, send one person. Use their old silver coins to go find the purest food, which tells you a lot about their piety. But the most important instruction of all is to be cautious. Be discreet. They have not forgotten the danger they were running from in the first place. They're blending their faith with just plain good common sense.
And this verse reminds us exactly why that caution was so critical. The stakes were literally life and death. They knew that if the people who were persecuting them before found them, they'd face a terrible choice. Either be executed by stoning or be forced back into a false religion. Their retreat to the cave was never an act of cowardice. It was a strategy to protect their faith.
But, a miracle this big, it can't really stay a secret for long. So, despite all their careful planning, their reemergence becomes this huge public event, a massive sign for the entire city that had grown and changed over the centuries.
And right here is the divine purpose of the whole thing. Their story wasn't just about their own personal salvation. No, their awakening served as living, breathing proof for a community that was actually debating the reality of the resurrection. God showed them a kind of mini-resurrection, waking up after a long death to prove that His promise of the final hour was absolutely true.
So the public reaction was immediate, and it was profound. People's faith was solidified. Doubts about the resurrection were just erased. But, as is so often the case with us human beings, right after this incredible moment of spiritual clarity, what happens? A very human debate starts up. So, what do we do now? How do we mark this spot?
And you basically had two camps emerge. One group suggested, hey, let's just build a simple structure over them, a monument to mark the location. But the other group, the one with more power and influence, had a different idea. They said, no, we will build a masjid here, a place of worship, effectively institutionalizing the site. It just goes to show how even a divine sign can be met with very different human motivations.
And it's right at this moment that the Qur'an does something truly amazing. After showing us the miracle, the reaction, the debate, it pivots. It turns to deliver the ultimate lesson. And you know what's surprising? It's not really about the sleepers at all. It's about us, the ones hearing the story.
The narrative points out that people, both then and now, immediately got bogged down in totally trivial details. They started arguing about the exact number of sleepers. Was it 3? Was it 5? Was it 7? They were completely missing the forest for the trees.
So the debates kicked off. You had one group that was absolutely convinced there were 3 sleepers and the dog was the 4th.
Then another group came along and said, no, 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 you've got it all wrong. There were 5 of them, which makes the dog the 6th.
And of course, a third group confidently argued, nope, it was 7. The dog was the 8th.
The Qur'an actually gives this activity a specific name. It calls it guessing at the unseen. And it's a direct critique, almost like a verbal slap on the wrist, for arguing about things that are totally beyond our knowledge, and more importantly, are completely irrelevant to the core message of the story.
And here it is, the final, powerful instruction. The verse commands us to simply say, my Lord knows best. It's telling us not to get sucked into these pointless debates over hidden details. The message is crystal clear. Focus on the obvious lesson of the miracle, the truth of resurrection, the importance of faith, not the secondary stuff that we can never know for sure.
And really, that leaves all of us with a question to reflect on in our own lives. Are we getting so caught up in the minor details that we're missing the bigger picture? Are we busy arguing about the picture frame instead of just appreciating the masterpiece inside it? In the end, what's more important, counting the sleepers or understanding the powerful reason they slept in the first place?